mystery theory. Today we're going to go back to the beach with the visuals because it has been requested recently, and truth be told, I don't mind them. I actually feel a lot more prepared equipment wise to do it this way. So I will have a poll that is going to pop on the top of the screen. Hopefully they still have the polls. And I'm going to give you 3 different options for the upcoming content with, with the background of the beach. Maybe with the background of the forest. And just regular old me in front of a camera sharing. Or kind of a mix. So I will have different options and I want you guys to vote. If you don't mind, of course, and if you care to do it. If not, no hard feelings as always, but that is going to help me structure the month of November a little bit better with a better understanding of what is more relaxing for you guys, because after all, this is an ASMR channel, and again, I don't mind either way. This way is a lot easier for me to do it and to be ahead on videos, but I don't mind kind of switching it up. Again, I have a few ideas. Take the poll and let me know which one is your favorite of all of those. Now, today's case, it's actually an Unsolved Mystery Monday. This is something that I want to start. I was hoping I could start this Unsolved Mystery series on Mondays starting on November, but I'm just going to start it today because I got a lot of requests on the John Titor and theory. Just we're calling it something, but this is something that is very well known for a lot of people. There are a lot of theories of who this guy is or who he claimed to be, if it was true, and I will share with you all my findings in the little investigation and digging of who actually was John Titor. I would also love to know your input in this by the end of the video, so if you care to leave a comment down below, I would love to know what specifically do you think. Is it true? Is it not true? What happened? Now, for those of you who have no idea who John Titor is, well, he was kind of a very controversial guy back in the year 2000, beginning of the 2000s. Now, at that time itself, the internet was pretty new and something that normal people, quote-unquote normal people, were just learning how to use it. I mean, it's something that, most people that knew about computers, they were even getting familiar with computers or with the new software and things that they were learning. Now, for me, I think I got my first computer in the year 2000. So I was probably 17 years old at the time when I used my first computer, and when I opened my first email account, I didn't know what to do on the internet, so I was pretty lost back then. But then, little by little, of course, I got more interested and learned more about it. Not that I'm a genius, because I'm not, but just so you have an idea, this era on the internet was very new, and people were starting to learn how to actually use it. And social media, of course, wasn't a thing back then, but it was more of the learning on how to. Now, some very weird comments or messages started to appear in the Coast to Coast AM page. Now, for those of you who do not know, they have a YouTube channel, but they are an American late night radio show that is related to paranormal and conspiracy else. I remember reading it as something else. But it was not only, these messages were not only posting on the Coast to Coast AM page, the program itself, but also in the host's page, which his name is Art Bell, I'm sorry, and his page, he, started to receive the same messages, or kind of the same messages, that said that this person who was leaving the messages said that he was a freedom fighter from the year 2036. Yeah, 2036. This was very interesting, and we ended up knowing that the name of the person that was sending these messages was actually John Titor. And I'm saying actually because, that's what we know about him. But we could never prove that that was his actual name. But according to my research, he used his name in the hostess page because you were required to put your name, or put a name if you wanted to leave a comment in his website. So of course, that is why we realized that this guy was calling himself John Titor, even though we don't know that is his real name. Now, he said that his mission, or part of his mission in this world, remember, he's saying that he is a freedom fighter from the year 2036. But part of his mission was to come and warn people about an oncoming nuclear and civil war that would divide America in 5 different pieces, nations. That was the main idea of what he was telling not only the host of the show, but also the show. Now, it's kind of interesting that this guy, John Titor, decided to go into this website in specific to leave this kind of comment and this kind of out there thing. Because if you ever listen to this program, that's what they do. They try to uncover conspiracy theories and, make sense out of the paranormal, or actually share stories about paranormal and things that happen, and they are quite interesting. I am subscribed to their YouTube channel, but sometimes you learn a lot about these theories, but at the end, you don't really know what to make out of everything. It's kind of those shows that it will give you all the information that they have, but they won't go through theories or things that they believe. It's kind of, this is all the information. You make up your mind and believe whatever the heck you want. So it's kind of interesting that out of every single website out there, or pages, or however they called it back then, this guy decided to go into this webpage and talk about, what he came here to do, which, by the way, maybe if he was in fact from the future, he did know about this program, but if not, it's kind of convenient that he chose this specific website. He also said that he was related to someone who could help him save the future, because in order to save the future, he needed an IBM 5100, which is a very old computer, that apparently his grandpa assembled and programmed that computer, and basically he came back to get one of those, but then decided to stop in the year 2000, where he's leaving these messages to collect some family keepsakes before they would get destroyed if the war happened. So again, apparently this guy was kind of doing a longer trip. He was going to not only get this computer that, if I am not mistaken, was built in 1975 or something like that. So apparently he went back in time to pick up this IBM 5100, maybe in 1975, and then he decided to stop in the year 2000. And he actually said to collect family keepsakes, but he also said that he wanted, or part of his mission was to warn the people about the oncoming nuclear and civil war, which, again, it's kind of contradictory he started predicting different things, like there is this disease that was spread through beef, cows and stuff like that, and he actually did predict that was going to happen, and it did. Now, he predicted a bunch of things, and I'm gonna let you know if any of those were true or not. But the main idea was trying to make people believe that he was the real thing, so they could, I don't know if change the future, but I guess his idea was not to do that, but to kind of warn the people. Now, if you're coming from the future, let's be out there for a minute. Let's pretend that this guy did come from the future. Don't you think that it would be a little bit, I don't know, not useful, if not useless, to tell the people from the past to avoid a war that it's going to happen in the future? Because even if they believe that you come from the future, things are going to happen, and you're kind of, if you believe in the whole thing, then you're kind of changing the past, so things might take even a worse turn if you really think about it. So that is something that, it's kind of interesting that he said that he came here to warn them. So apparently this IBM 5100 computer that he came to pick up was released on, again, 1975, and the thing that he needed from this computer was the ability of decoding and emulate a code between a variety of programming languages. And this thing was what was needed to prevent the error in 2038. With this computer, he was going to help reverse engineer code to prevent it. So now he's getting a little bit confusing and weird. And again, I am not trying to say that he wasn't real. I'm not saying he was. I'm just saying that he went back to 1975. He picked up this computer, or whenever back in time he went. Then he went to the year 2000, decided to leave messages on this website, and also this website for paranormal and conspiracy theories. And then he was going to go back to 2036 to avoid something that was going to happen in 2038. So how did he know? Could he go to the future as well and find out that there was a war, or there was something that was going to end the computer era? Which, by the way, there's a lot more questions than answers, but we're gonna have to continue to go through the things that he actually did predict correctly, and that's why a lot of people believe. And there is also a very kind of interesting twist at the end that it really makes you wonder if this is true. But I'm just here to share all the information that is out there. He also said that when he was asked, because, okay, these were kind of a forum thing, what is it called, Reddit? I don't go on it very, very often, but you know how they have different forums on different things. Well, apparently he was in one of those, and he was asked questions by a lot of people. So he would answer those questions, and one of them was, how did he build something to go back in time, or to travel in time? And he said that I used a car. Well, initially it was a car, and it was okay, he gave a very long explanation. I'm just gonna go to the basics because it, to me, in my head, didn't make sense. But he said that it was a standard offset Doppler sinusoid, something like that, and initially it was put in a car which was a 1967. Okay, this guy, see, these are the things that pop in my head, and sometimes I just have to say it. So he's coming from the year 2036, and he's using a 1967 Chevy Corvette convertible. But apparently then they decided that that wasn't going to work, so they moved it into a 1987 truck because of the posted several pictures of the truck itself, and it looked like honestly, it looked like batteries kind of tied up together, and they just kind of tied it to the truck. It didn't look from the future. I'm just telling you, because when you read about this story, it kind of makes sense. But if you, the pictures didn't look like it came from the future. Maybe a junkyard from the future, but no, really, this is not something that looked like it came that it was very futuristic. My heater just came off, but it's freezing outside, so I'm hoping that the white noise is not going to bother you too much until it turns off. A lot of people believe the guy, and a lot of them were starting to post different things about how afraid they were that it was going to mess up the future, because he came here, he was warning them, so maybe he was messing up the future himself by doing all this stuff. It wasn't meant to be for him to be telling them what to avoid in the future. But John said that it wouldn't mess up the future, but it would only help it. Now, this guy did kind of predict the Iraq war, and okay, well, here's the thing. He did kind of predict it, and I'm just saying kind of predicted because I think that if you lived at the time that the war started, we all kind of knew what was coming or what was likely coming. However, the Twin Towers and everything happened right after, so I don't know, he could have predicted it because he was in fact from the future, and a lot of people said that he couldn't have predicted that from the state of the country back then, but I don't know. He also said that the Olympics of 2004, this was another of his predictions, were not going to happen, and he was wrong, they did happen, but maybe, and this is from people that believe that he was a traveler from the future, and a lot of people believe that the Olympics in 2004 didn't happen in his own timeline. That was completely different from ours, and that's why, they did happen for us. Now, he wrote quite a few things on these forums, and this is one of the very interesting ones that I thought that I should share with you. He said, quote, "Perhaps I should let you all in on a little secret. No one likes you in the future. This time period is looked at as being full of lazy, self-centered, civically ignorant sheep. Perhaps you should be less concerned about me and more concerned about that." He continues saying, "Learn basic sanitation, learn to shoot and clean a gun. Consider what you would bring with you if you have to leave your home in 10 minutes and never return." People wanted to believe this guy, so they asked how the future was, of course, so he continued in different threads to explain how the future looked for him. He said that the internet still existed, but people were not obsessed over it as they were in the year, in that year. Now, I don't know how obsessed people were back then, but if they would look at us right now, it would be pretty disappointing, I think. Now, he said that, people were not obsessed over the internet in the future, and that left them with more time to invest in their community, in talking to each other, in sharing like them in the past. And he also kind of compared how people lived in the future on how, when there is no power and people, naturally start talking to each other. Well, that's how the future was going to be, or something like that. He also said that he lived with his parents river, and that it was a treehouse community. I mean, apparently they were hunting and they were living a little bit more of a, I don't know how to say, maybe country life, even in Florida, in a treehouse community. But let's talk about a little bit more if this guy was real. He did predict some things that, came true. Some others, they didn't. There is a theory that claims that I think it's the Haber brothers, Haber, that live in Florida, actually made up this guy, John Titor, and predicted some things because they made sense. But some other things, they were just full of it and were making up these stories. They also kind of matched the IP address to the area where the Haber brothers lived. And apparently the name Titor was also involved in the past in the Y2K bug. So maybe people believe that he did exist, and that John Titor was actually staying with the Haber brothers, and this wasn't really something that he made up. Some other people believe that he used a different alias to ask himself questions, and I'm gonna explain about this. I mean, after all we know about this guy, people were trying to make sense out of everything that he said, and some people said that he probably created different people that did not exist to ask the questions that he did know the answers to, so he would answer those specific questions and look a little bit more credible. Is that possible? Definitely, but I don't know if that's what he did or not. Now, this is something that, if you get to this part with me, you kind of get an idea of what I think about this. A lot of things don't make sense, and when they don't make sense, they're usually not true. At least in my head, if there is a list of things that are not making sense in my head around the same thing, more than likely it's not true. I think I've heard Chat Judy, the one on TV, once talk about that. If there's a few inconsistencies, then okay, but if there's a lot of them, now this world is run by lawyers. Makes me wonder if this guy was real or now his last name. I don't know if today there is, but John Titor Foundation, Habber. Now this is a very mysterious website from the brothers that were in the message making 177 tempos edX. Now people believe that John is his son or his brother. Apparently his son and his brother, they are both in the computer business, but they are related to the government. So it's, they're not just computer guys. They're computer guys that work for the government. So this whole ending, it kind of all makes sense. You know what I mean? It could be that this John Titor came to talk to the Haber brothers, or a family, because they are related to computers and they are related to the government. So it would make sense that John came to, specifically talk to them about something. It makes sense that they are the ones that keep the website. Maybe it's something that John needed in the future. Maybe he needed that website as a portal to communicate. Maybe to try to, I don't know, debug, or, with the help that he needed from the computer. So the end of this story, it kind of confuses me. I don't know what to think. those cases, or it's one of those stories that, some people think is way too out there, and it can't be true. Some people believe that this is something that the government has been working on for years, and that this is 100% possible. What do you think happened? Do you believe in this theory, in this story? Do you believe that John Titor actually came from the future? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to know more about, maybe if you have other information that you want to share with me, and help me make up my mind, because honestly, I really can't make up my mind. I try to be open-minded to different ideas and different possibilities, but at the same time, a lot of the evidence that I found on this really doesn't add up. While it ends on something that completely makes sense, and it kind of makes me understand why people believe that this is something that actually happened. Thank you so much for being there. I hope you come back on Wednesday for a new podcast, and then a new episode